yo, a cat is in. TIVV3, Tibby Cat. I haven't been posting vids because everything that happened was kind of telegraphed by all the vids I made already, so... Besides Orange Man getting, an attempt on him, so... Two attempts on him, so I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to comment on that just yet. At the very least, it's interesting that RFK Jr. endorsed the guy and suggested that him and Tulsi are gonna be very important in picking the people for an Orange Man administration. I just thought that's interesting. I'm not gonna comment on that anymore. I was also a gamer, yeah, too many gacha games. So what do we have here? Sweet Baby is losing everything and might as well do a victory lap after I called them out as corporate proxies for good regulation, which they clearly aren't, but the company sure would like to pretend that they are, so it's all very libertarian in a way, very pretend the state doesn't need to exist. By the way, no hate for any one person, no matter how delusional. I hope for the best, I hope they'll wisen up and have a good time.
Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we're going to talk about the continued destruction of Sweet Baby Inc. 2024 has been a very rough year for this woke consulting firm. Essentially, they got discovered back in February when one of its employees started a harassment campaign against a then very small Steam group called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected. We all know how that story played out. It had the Streisand effect, it blew up the group, and then people started looking at this Sweet Baby Inc. company
and if you don't build a pro-free speech sort of pressure group as a result of this stuff is gonna keep happening, you know what I mean? And also pro-free speech when it comes to criticizing the lack of government spending, because I do like me some MMT, so...
Looking at their website and seeing their client list and their agenda and some of the games they've worked on, and as a result, anyone associated with Sweet Baby has had a very rough year. People are rejecting anything there is.
And remember, free speech is the right to have people listen to you, not the right to say whatever you want when nobody hears it. So there's a bit of a question as to how to do that, obviously, but yeah.
Associated with, because people...
And yeah, I understand. A lot of people are pretty delusional, yes, but I also believe that having responsibility actually makes people, puts them into a situation where they are being challenged so they grow. Think about it. The US has a system where 90% of people's votes don't really count, and see where you got with that, huh? See where you got with that, huh? I've been thinking about that as of late.
People are concerned about what kind of woke DEI garbage is going to end up in those products if they work with Sweet Baby. This company has essentially become a death mark. Nobody wants to be publicly associated with Sweet Baby, and now Sweet Baby...
It was working as long as nobody was really looking, because it's clearly not a substitute for proper government oversight of whatever you might want to have the government do. Like, if there's people who think that we want more representation, I mean, first you gotta ask, why representation? Why not better workplace conditions? I don't know. I mean, I heard it can be tough, and even in big companies that should have the money.
Baby finds itself in a tough position where they have to rebrand in a way that deals with their negative reputation among gamers. Okay. And they're doing just that. So essentially, Sweet Baby nuked their own website and recreated it in a way that I believe is trying to continue pushing its woke agenda, but doing it behind the scenes and also doing so while continuing to work with their current clients.
And hey, that's already a W for the gamers, because then government can't pretend that things are all right. Because this is part of what these groups are for, is to tell government, oh, everything is great here. So, but I'm thinking they'll still keep peddling that message from the inside. Comes back to why is it that most people's vote doesn't count, huh?
But doing so in a very private way. So what happened? Well, if you had an old link to the website and you use it, you're brought to this page. Essentially an error 404 type message saying this page does not...
Oh, by the way, I like to emphasize that I don't really care whether you vote or not and what you vote for or not, personally. I care about people being effective with what they set out to do. And then you'll learn along the way. You know what I mean? Even though I do like to stress good health is number one, and well, do think about what that means in this context, maybe.
Seem to exist. Now, they have restructured their website, and as someone who has been on this website a lot of times this year, to do research for videos, I can tell you a lot of changes did occur, and I think they are very important to look at. So here is the new website. You can see they have the same old hypnotic design that's very strange, and their strange mascot is still there, but there are some changes, beginning with their top section here, the About section, where it says, Sweet Baby Inc. is an award-winning team of writers and narrative designers who help make stories better. With over 30 games shipped from AAA, indie, and solo developers, we are not just contractors, we are storytellers who can take your project.
They still have to make money, right? So of course they're gonna like try to sell themselves as these like genius storytellers, right? Even though that's clearly not why they signed up or were signed up. It's because they're good at checking boxes and representing in some of the most targeted ways you could without crossing some clear boundaries. So given that they aren't crossing those boundaries at the very least, probably.
To the next level. So this is very interesting. If you know anything about Sweet Baby, you're probably surprised to see not a single mention of diversity, inclusion, equity, nothing like that. If you looked at this message from their About section, you would just think they're narrative consultants. They're just helping people write better stories. It has nothing to do with
The thing is, even though they have to get paid, pushing an agenda that makes companies seem like they can self-regulate, right? So, and that's also how they get on payrolls of all the NGOs and whatnot, which often actually are government funded. But so it's like a layer of accountability is gone because, well, the NGO is being paid for whatever the NGO thinks is gonna make the company look good while pushing the needle socially or whatever, without any sort of accountability to a body of voters. It's like democratic institutions without the democracy.
Now, of course, we have some archives of their former website. This is their previous About section that says this. Founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working...
Like, can you sue these people for not representing voters? No, of course not. And yeah, sure, suing is just a hard tall order, but you also can't vote them out of office, so...
Around the globe, our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone.
It's funny they say this because talk about empathetic stories, and I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, two of the big Chinese gacha games, anime gacha games, just had banger story expansions that really hammer home that maybe we should be careful with those really big weapons, you know? Maybe we don't want to go post-apocalyptic. With like really like empathetic like stories where it's like, oh, you really see the fate of this person or this group or, you know, individuals mostly, because individuals work well to get the message across. So it's like, yeah, Wuthering Waves had that patch, and Endless Zone Zero 2. They really progressed the story in a way that's like every post-apocalyptic setting has a place from where it comes. And it sure can hit home. So that's what I'm thinking when I think empathetic stories. So, like, are they gonna make a gacha game? I don't know, probably not, but oh well.
Everyone. So you see this mention of empathetic stories, diversifying, and also more inclusion, and all of that stuff has been ripped from the current About section. Now, there's a few small sections underneath this, beginning with script writing. So they say, we work within scope to cover all of your script writing needs, from cinematics and dialogue to naming 500 pieces of armor. We know every word counts. Again, very generic, nothing about DEI.
But you know, AI can do that too.
In this one either. Here's the next section, consultation. No matter the stage of production, we can strengthen story pitches.
Although you would still, you know, you could probably be like, oh, hello AI, I need 500, I need a set of armor names that's gonna have a progression in power and also a horizontal progression. There's gonna be alternatives. And a rarity system across the horizontal axis, reflecting what the game is gonna be. There's some important stuff you have set for the AI first, like that. And then you still got to do a plausibility check for all the stuff and like probably rename half of them. But it's a starting point, right? So AI pretty good. But like 500 pieces of armor is like, come on. Come on, like you start with the game systems, right? And then you build your armor sets from there, right? I mean, and your factions and whatnot, right? There's also faction-themed stuff, probably, depending on what you do.
World building and character development needs, and other narrative design demands. Once again, very generic. Here we have the first one that looks anything like DEI or something you would expect from Sweet Baby. It's their authenticity and sensitivity section saying, we approach sensitivity by working with your existing narrative and documentation to bring out its natural authenticity and emotional resonance. We don't look for red flags, we highlight green ones. So this is interesting too. So even in a section where they're talking about authenticity and sensitivity, they're not saying we're going to point to your red flags and make you change things. They're just going to highlight the ones they think are already good, which is a much more passive approach than you would expect from Sweet Baby, at least, you know, from what they're telling you publicly right now. Now, the next section is another one that has changed.
If they aren't going to touch the gameplay relevant stuff, which is what this sounds like more and more, I mean, I guess they still want to get paid for doing the job of government, which is to look out for the workers and the people by doing this stuff, which is of course a joke. But yeah, this time around, maybe they won't be such a menace about it, which actually makes it worse, kinda, if you think about it.
In ways that I think
you can't really point at Sweet Baby Inc. then, right? I mean, as much as it seems everyone's favorite pastime to hate on whatever the EI group, it's really not their fault that they have to fill this market demand, is it now?
I think are interesting and not too impactful, but it's worth mentioning. So the featured projects, it's the games they've worked on. You see the classics they've always listed, like God of War, Ragnarok, Sable, so on and so forth. They constantly change this list, and the only one I think is interesting to see pop back up is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because they actually removed this for many months leading up until now, but it looks like they brought it back onto this public list of their projects, and that also further confirms the lies of a former Rocksteady developer who claimed that Sweet Baby had no involvement, which there's been a lot of evidence out there to prove otherwise, and this just further confirms that he was lying through his teeth when he made that statement, since they brought it back once again. Now, this is the biggest change, or lack thereof in a sense. There's nothing after this section. We go right to the outreach and workshops. Now, like I said, I've been on this website many times to research for videos. The next section that came was their client list, and I think that was the most important tool for tracking Sweet Baby's involvement. If you see a company like Ubisoft on that list, you're going to be checking their games to see in the credits and throughout posts on social media if they're involved with Sweet Baby. That client list is gone, and I think that is a very significant thing, and a lot of people are sharing some archive versions. I think this is the most complete list I've seen because, again, like the game list, some companies like Square Enix, for example, have removed themselves from this list over the months, but this one seems to be the most complete and oldest list, and you can see all the usual suspects, especially those from companies that had a rough 2024 due to their connection with Sweet Baby. You see Ubisoft, Xbox Game Studios, you see Warner Bros, Square Enix, Wizards of the Coast, Remedy, Glitch.
Go to the next part.
And your background, not your writing skills, which is a big contradiction to what they're trying to do with the updated website that's all about narrative consultation and improving the writing.
Yeah, alrighty, I think we got the gist of it. People are gonna be silly while trying to get on our payroll, and hey, there are payrolls to get on, so anyway, I think that's enough for this for now. I will link the bit below, leave them a like and all the good stuff over here too. It really helps, so at least leave us with a like and a sub. And don't forget to get a hand for yourself, but also good health is number one. And last but not least, don't give up on people. Don't lose sleep over them if they're gonna be silly like that. It is all quite obvious what's happening if you think about it. I mean, you can't tell me that there isn't big money going around in all kinds of ways, right? So this is the thing I was thinking is I was watching neutrality studies, and he brought to my attention that a bunch of channels got banned on tenuous reasons. So I was thinking maybe I'll actually go check out Rumble a little more and put some videos there too. I don't know, just out of sympathy, because like where the creator's gonna go if YouTube's gonna ban channels that rise to the occasion of getting shouted out by neutrality studies, who I do respect quite a bit. So yeah, another topic I don't really talk about, but so yeah, I was just thinking. Anyway, hope you have a good one, stay safe out there, and I hope we meet again. Meow.